Fresh out of the Christmas and New Year holidays, Agriculture Minister MUSTAPHA and his team of senior officials of the Ministry of Agriculture have hit the ground running, engaging Saturday with residents and farmers of Bushlot, West Coast Berbice, and at Helena, Mahika. At Bushlot, West Coast Berbice, Minister MUSTAPHA engaged with livestock and cash crop farmers about issues affecting them. In that first meeting, held outside the Bushlot Turf Club ground, residents raised with the minister issues related to drainage, flood relief, and in one instance, inaction by the police to a report of a stolen motorcycle. Speaking to the residents after listening to their concerns, Minister MUSTAPHA pointed out that while it is government's responsibility to provide infrastructure and support to the agriculture sector, beneficiaries of these interventions are expected to work in partnership with government in realizing successful outcomes in the business of agriculture. Speaking specifically to claims by some that they were denied flood relief and other assistance from government, Minister MUSTAPHA stressed that there must be honesty and accountability on the part of farmers.
When, as a government, we are trying to help every single person. We are trying as much as possible. And many persons will tell you, before the camera talk, let us stop flood relief, because sometimes some people who don't deserve it receive it. And who have to receive it don't receive it anyway. And we depend, you can't expect the president or myself or all the officers to know 70,000 persons around the country. So we depend on farmers too to identify. For example, when the Fisher Folks grant was given out, the vice president made it very clear and said that, look, let us raise all those persons whose names appear on the list and who didn't or who don't deserve the payment, or who are not entitled for the payment. We put the list at the NDC's office for a number of weeks to just get the list clear. And at the end of it, we still heard that people who didn't deserve it received. But also we must be honest with ourselves. We sometimes want both. We want rental and we want flood relief. So if somebody rent my land and they lost rice, I am not entitled for the flood relief. That person who would have lost his rights would entitle. You all agree with me? And in that case, auntie, you fall in that category. Somebody rented your land. We have the record. No, but when the flood took place, somebody rented your land. And that person received the flood relief. We can give you the name and the amount that that person received. And the general manager of MMA is here, can testify to it. This comrade who spoke just now, you receive $100,000 from the government, because that was the maximum that we gave for cash crops. You understand? That was the maximum. We didn't get more than $100,000 for cash crop. But it might not compensate you. The comrade who said that he lost cattle just now, he received $400,000 from GLDA. But it might not compensate you all. But as a government, we tried, because $7.8 billion was allocated to give flood relief. But we have to investigate these things. So when people tell us, we can't take the hearsay thing and say that's true. When you go back and investigate it, I, as a minister, I will say yes. Sometimes people con the system and receive money. But there are many persons who receive it genuinely. Most of the persons who are entitled receive flood relief, that either cash crop, livestock, or rice. Sometimes we rented our land and we want the flood relief. And those persons who would have lost, who rented the land, they didn't receive it. And that is against the rules too. We have to look at it. Because of the rental of land, the cost of production going up.
This issue of subletting of leased lands within the MMA and other parts of the country is one that is causing serious concern to government, as the exorbitant rentals being demanded by mainly absentee land leasers is driving up the cost of production, adding to the already skyrocketing cost of other inputs.
We are seeing today farmers are trying to run race one another to increase the rent. And I can tell you, right here in MMA, we reduce the land rental and DNI charges when we come back in government. You all remember? The former government would have increased it. They increased it from $2,000 from $3,500 to $15,000. We reduced that. For every acre land, we charge how much now? $3,000? $3,500. Last crop, there were a number of farmers who didn't plant, and we waived the rent. I waived the rent from them because we know that they can't pay the rent. And the manager will tell you how many farmers rent we waive. So when we talk about things, we must be true too, because both sides, we have to work together to develop this place. Not only the government, yes, the government has a responsibility, but you as the farmers also have to support the government to ensure that the system we put in place work. What we have been doing, and I have been looking at it, there are a number of persons who have leases for land, they are residing overseas, and they are renting the land for exorbitant fees. For example, some farmers are paying $30,000 to $40,000 per acre. And remember, we are charged only $3,500. And when you talk about the cost of production, the cost to produce one bag of paddy, you will see how much it will cost, because all these costs come in to the final production. So the cost is not coming in only from because of raw materials and things that you purchase, but we are causing the cost to increase because we are trying to put more money into the rental of these places. That is why I'm asking the MMA now to do an analysis to see how many persons are renting land, so that we can look at it. There are clauses in the lease that land should not be sublet, and we'll look at that very seriously. I agree that farmers who are residing and working in the scheme, they should have the land. And we'll be looking at that very seriously. I asked the board, the MMA board, to come up, and we have the Farmer Lands Commissioner, Mr. Andrew Bishop, is leading that process.
The Agriculture Minister told those gathered that the MMA ADA is being developed into the largest and most productive scheme in the country, with work ongoing to make available more lands for rice and livestock production.
Matter of fact, we started to do a lot of farm-to-market road. And we are trying to develop this scheme to make this scheme one of the most, or the largest scheme in our country. Right now, the capacity that we have is about 100,000 acres of land that are available for cultivation of rice. We want to open up another 50,000 acres for cattle. We are now doing pastures, so that cattle can have, and the problem with cattle and rice is an age-old problem, not only in MMA. 5274, Blackbush Polder, on the Essecubo course, all over the place, you get this issue. And we have to deal with it. Now, this issue not come since I became Minister of Agriculture. It's a long issue. I can remember farmer colleagues at SA would have passed through this issue and try to deal with it. But it's still occurring, because sometimes people are owners of cattle and they are planting rice. And their cattle sometimes destroy other rice farmers' rice, but not their rice. So we are looking to deal with this issue. Almost every month, GLDA are meeting with the cattle farmers in this area to try to put system in place. We will, as a matter of fact, another 5,000 acres will be developed shortly, so we will ask all the cattle farmers to move their cattle to those areas that we are opening now. We are now doing the pasture development, so in another 3 months' time, the pasture will be available. So these things we are putting in place to ensure that we develop. We can't only depend on rice and cash crop. We have to develop the entire agriculture sector. But one can be at the expense of the other one, that people of cow are being loose and destroying people's rice. We have to deal with it, and we are trying to deal with it. As a matter of fact, only last month, I give a lot of farmers or areas wire and post to just put it down so that cattle wouldn't destroy people's rice. And we got to continue to do that.
Minister MUSTAPHA assured residents that many of the issues raised in relation to improved roads and dams, drainage and irrigation are all catered for in the 2023 national budget, which will be laid in the National Assembly soon. Across at Helena Mahaika, the message was the same: assurances that problems with bad roads and blocked drainage are all catered for in the 2023 national budget, and that redress will be enjoyed by all in the first quarter. of this year. The Agriculture Minister also assured farmers of government's commitment in supporting the efforts of farmers in all aspects of the agriculture pursuits, directly from the Ministry of Agriculture or through the support services provided by agencies of the ministry such as the GLDA, GRDB, and NARI.